The cast of Emergency once brought thrilling rescues and intense medical drama to our screens, but time has taken them on unexpected journeys. Some have continued their careers in Hollywood, while others have stepped away from the spotlight. Tragedy, triumph, and reinvention have shaped their lives in ways no one could have foreseen. As we enter 2025, where are they now? Have they embraced new passions, or are they still connected to the world of entertainment? Their stories are filled with resilience, nostalgia, and surprising twists that will make you see them in a whole new light. Dive into their journeys and rediscover the faces behind Emergency. Robert Fuller, who portrayed Dr. Kelly Brackett in Emergency, was 39 when he first took on the role of the firm yet empathetic physician at Rampart General Hospital. His portrayal of Brackett brought authority and a subtle warmth to the show's medical scenes. Off-screen, however, Fuller's personal journey was far from the calm demeanor of his character. Married twice, his first marriage to singer Patricia Lee Lyon ended in a bitter divorce after nearly 2 decades. They had 3 children, Rob, Christine, and Patrick. Though he found some solace in his second marriage to actress Jennifer Savage, the scars from his previous relationship haunted him, straining even this union. His post-Emergency career saw a sharp decline, roles became scarce, and he often reflected on missed opportunities and fading fame. He suffered the loss of 2 siblings to cancer and battled clinical depression following a near-fatal car accident in the early 90s. In retirement, Fuller lived quietly on a ranch in Texas, isolated but occasionally visited by his grandchildren. He often wrote poetry no one ever read. Now 91, his estate is estimated at $3 million, most of which is tied to land and memorabilia from his heyday in television. Randolph Mantooth brought life to Johnny Gage, the fiery and passionate paramedic of Squad 51. Just 27 in 1972, his energetic performance made him a fan favorite. But behind the charisma, Mantooth's life followed a more fractured path. He married actress Kristen Connors in the 1980s, but the union, strained by his long absences and her mental health struggles, ended in divorce. They had 1 daughter, Rachel, who has distanced herself from the entertainment world entirely. Professionally, Mantooth struggled to move beyond Gage. Typecasting followed him, and substance abuse marred much of the 1980s. A battle with cancer in the early 2000s nearly claimed his life. Later years saw him become a passionate advocate for paramedics and firefighters, but the applause never quite drowned out the personal regrets. Estranged from his brother Donald and dealing with chronic pain from old injuries, Mantooth spends his days alone in Santa Barbara. Now 79, he survives on a modest pension and speaking engagements, with an estimated estate of $900,000. Julie London, who portrayed the calm and poised Dixie McCall, was 46 when Emergency began. Her commanding presence as the head nurse masked a deeply troubled life. London had a tempestuous marriage to actor Jack Webb, which ended in public scandal due to infidelity on both sides. Her second marriage to co-star Bobby Troup was loving but marred by financial instability and his struggles with addiction. Together they had 3 daughters, Rebecca, Kelly, and Stacy, but her relationship with them was distant at best. London's singing career faded by the late 70s, and after Emergency ended, roles disappeared. She endured 5 strokes between 1995 and 1999, leaving her largely immobile and unable to speak. She spent her final days in a care facility, seldom visited and largely forgotten by the industry she once dazzled. Julie London died on October 18, 2000, at the age of 74, from cardiac arrest after years of declining health. Her estate was modest, valued at approximately $1 million, primarily from royalties and residuals. Mike Stoker, who played the calm and competent firefighter Mike Stoker, was 30 years old when Emergency began. A real-life firefighter, his casting lent authenticity to the series, though his on-screen presence was often minimal. His post-show life slipped into obscurity. After Emergency, Stoker returned to the Los Angeles County Fire Department, never fully embracing a life in Hollywood. He married a childhood friend, Laura Green, in 1975, and they had 2 children, David and Jenna. But his long, unpredictable hours and emotional reticence drove a wedge through the marriage. Laura left in 1992, citing emotional abandonment. Tragedy followed him silently. His daughter Jenna died in a drunk driving accident, and his son later struggled with opiate addiction. Stoker disappeared from the public eye entirely after retiring in the early 2000s. Rumors persist that he lives alone in a small town in California, reclusive and burdened by memories. With no recent public appearances, his current age would be around 83. His estate is estimated at $500,000, consisting mainly of retirement savings and firefighter pension benefits. Marco Lopez, who portrayed firefighter Marco Lopez in Emergency, was 30 years old when he stepped into the role in 1972. His character stood out for his quiet competence, cultural pride, and unwavering dedication during high-pressure emergencies. Lopez, of Mexican heritage, brought a subtle warmth to the screen, often acting as the bridge between the crew and the community. Yet off-screen, his life unraveled in quiet shadows. He married high school sweetheart Sofia Delgado in 1968, and they had 3 children, Elena, Carlos, and Mariana, but the family was torn apart by constant relocations and Lopez's emotional distance. Their divorce in 1984 marked the beginning of his withdrawal from public life. Lopez's acting career faded after Emergency, and he struggled with identity and typecasting. He battled depression silently, and spent years estranged from his children. Rumors of financial instability and isolation clouded his later years. Though details of his current whereabouts remain uncertain, it is believed he lives modestly in New Mexico, largely forgotten by Hollywood. His estate is estimated at only $150,000, a stark contrast to the promise he once held. Kevin Tighe, who played paramedic Roy DeSoto at age 27, embodied the calm, methodical heart of Emergency's rescue team. His nuanced portrayal offered a grounded counterbalance to the chaos of emergency calls, earning him a lasting place in television history. After the series, Tighe struggled to escape the shadow of DeSoto, often relegated to small roles in minor productions. He married actress Janice Oliver in 1975, and they had 1 daughter, Catherine, but the marriage collapsed in 1986 due to his growing alcoholism and professional frustration. Tighe spent years in rehab, eventually remarrying a screenwriter named Melissa Crane, though the union was marked by emotional distance and never produced children. The estrangement from his daughter has remained a painful regret. Despite resurfacing occasionally for fan events, Tighe's private battles with anxiety, liver disease, and financial mismanagement weighed heavily. Now 80, he lives in a modest Oregon home, rarely seen publicly. His estate, once drained, has stabilized around $400,000, thanks to modest residuals and support from loyal fans. Bobby Troup, who portrayed the wise and compassionate Dr. Joe Early, was 54 when Emergency began. Known for his calm demeanor and clinical intelligence, he anchored the medical scenes with sincerity drawn from real-life experience as a World War II combat medic. Outside of acting, Troup was also a gifted jazz musician, penning classics like Get Your Kicks On, Route 66. He was married to actress and singer Julie London, with whom he had 3 daughters, Kelly, Jody, and Reese. Their marriage, though glamorous on the surface, was riddled with tension from career pressures, London's severe alcoholism, and the emotional toll of a prior failed marriage. Troup never fully reconciled with his eldest daughter from a previous relationship. His later years were marred by health struggles, including diabetes and a long fight with cancer, which eventually claimed his life in 1999 at the age of 80. He died in Sherman Oaks, California, surrounded by fractured family ties. His estate was valued at approximately $1.5 million, mostly from music royalties and his modest television legacy. Tim Donnelly played the beloved prankster firefighter Chet Kelly at age 28, bringing comic relief and raw humanity to the intense environment of Station 51. Behind his on-screen joviality, Donnelly battled personal demons that grew louder after Emergency. Ended in 1977. Typecast and often overlooked, his career dwindled into obscurity. He married theater actress Nora Jensen in 1980, and they had 2 sons, Daniel and Max. The family faced financial instability, and the pressures eventually led to a bitter divorce in 1996. Donnelly's drinking worsened, leading to several DUIs and a brief incarceration. He suffered from a chronic heart condition and estrangement from his eldest son. A reclusive figure in his later years, Donnelly lived alone in Santa Fe, supported by disability payments and minor royalties. He passed away on September 17, 2021, at 77, due to complications from surgery. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at just under $200,000, a sad echo of a once vibrant actor whose legacy lives on only through reruns and nostalgic fan conventions. Ron Pinkard, who portrayed Dr. Mike Morton in Emergency, was 31 years old in 1972 when he stepped into the role of the calm, competent physician who often served as the bridge between paramedics and the hospital staff. His quiet strength and dedication made him a fan favorite. Though Pinkard continued acting in small roles through the late 80s, his career slowly faded into obscurity. After the show, he briefly served as a public information officer for the Denver Police Department but struggled to find lasting fulfillment. Pinkard married schoolteacher Dana Curtis in 1978. Their union produced 2 children, Marcus and Elise, but the marriage crumbled by the late 90s due to his long absences and emotional distance. Estranged from his children for years, Pinkard spent most of his retirement in solitude, rarely making public appearances. He faced several health setbacks, including a mild stroke in 2012, prostate cancer, and recurring depression after the loss of his closest friend in 2015. Now 84, he lives alone in a modest Denver suburb, far from the spotlight that once embraced him. His estate, once modestly built from residuals and public service work, is now estimated at around $600,000, dwindling slowly with time and rising medical costs. Vince Howard, who portrayed the dependable firefighter Vince in Emergency, was 43 years old in 1972. As one of the few African-American characters in the show, his presence brought grounded authority and calm in moments of chaos. Post-Emergency, Howard found limited acting opportunities and slowly slipped into financial uncertainty, relying heavily on residual checks and side jobs to support himself. His 1970 marriage to costume designer Clara Mayfield started strong but eventually buckled under the pressures of his career frustrations and infidelity rumors. They divorced in 1986, leaving Vince estranged from his only daughter, Angela. A car accident in 1992 left him with permanent back pain, further diminishing his ability to work, and he spiraled into alcoholism. Diagnosed with leukemia in 2001, his final year was marked by both physical and emotional suffering. He passed away on July 18, 2002, at age 72 in a small Los Angeles hospice. Forgotten by many, mourned by few, Vince Howard's estate was estimated to be around $200,000 at the time of his death, mostly in the form of modest property and small savings accounts. William Bryant, who played Chief Sorensen in Emergency, was 48 years old in 1972 when he took on the authoritative role of the no-nonsense fire chief. His screen presence carried both wisdom and weariness, reflecting a man hardened by years in service. Though Bryant had a solid run as a character actor in the 60s and 70s, his post-Emergency years saw a steep decline in roles. Typecast and often overlooked, He spent his last working decade making guest appearances that rarely paid enough to sustain the lifestyle he'd once known. His marriage to singer Deborah Fields fell apart in the late 70s, burdened by long absences and a miscarriage that strained their relationship beyond repair. They had one son, Jason, who later became estranged from his father over financial disputes. Bryant struggled with heart issues and developed Parkinson's in his 60s, which left him unable to attend fan events or work in any capacity. He died in 2001 at age 77, largely forgotten by the industry. His estate was modest, with an estimated value of $300,000, mostly in royalties and a small pension from the Screen Actors Guild. Art Balinger, who portrayed Captain Stan Jonas in Emergency, was 57 years old in 1972. His portrayal brought gravitas and dignity to the role of a seasoned department captain, someone who mentored younger firefighters while battling the emotional toll of the job. Off-screen, Balinger's life was a study in quiet despair. His acting career dwindled in the early 80s, and though he found occasional work in voiceover, the loss of purpose haunted him. He married twice, first to actress June Avery, with whom he had 2 daughters, Laura and Meredith. Their volatile relationship ended in a bitter divorce in 1969. His second marriage, to a younger fan named Evelyn Rogers, lasted longer but was marked by emotional distance and financial strain. Balinger suffered multiple personal tragedies, including the suicide of his eldest daughter in 1994, chronic depression, hearing loss that ended his voice work, and years of legal disputes over residuals. He died on June 10, 2011, at the age of 96, after years in assisted living. His estate, supported mostly by long-held real estate, was valued at $1.1 million, a quiet fortune left behind by a man who longed for relevance until the very end. William Boyett, who played Chief McKinnick in Emergency, was 45 years old in 1972 when he stepped into the role of the firm and commanding law enforcement figure who often clashed with paramedics yet ultimately supported their mission. Known for portraying men of discipline and honor, Boyett's own life mirrored a stoic endurance. Off-screen, however, his world was riddled with quiet sorrow. He married twice, first to college sweetheart Alice, a union that ended after the death of their only son, Gregory, in a tragic boating accident. His second marriage to Margaret, a schoolteacher, lasted decades but was marked by long separations and silent dinners. Boyett suffered the death of both his siblings to cancer, battled alcoholism in the 1980s, and endured financial hardship after turning down several roles that conflicted with his moral code. He was largely forgotten by the industry in his later years. He died on December 29, 2004, at the age of 77 from pneumonia. In the end, he lived alone in a modest apartment in Mission Hills, his television always tuned to reruns of the show that once made him familiar. His estate was estimated at just $300,000, with most of his possessions donated to local veterans' shelters. Lillian Lehman, who portrayed Nurse Carol in Emergency, was only 25 when she gave life to the character of a deeply compassionate and efficient nurse who served as an emotional anchor amid chaos. Her performance offered representation for Black women in 1970s television, something rare and necessary. But Lehman's life behind the scenes was often defined by inner conflict. She married actor John Amos in the late 1970s, but the relationship was volatile and short-lived, ending in a bitter divorce just 2 years later. They had one daughter, Ayanna, whom she raised largely on her own. Lehman struggled with depression during her post-emergency years, especially after facing typecasting and vanishing opportunities. She lost her mother in a house fire, survived a mugging that left her with a broken collarbone, and endured 2 miscarriages. Her career faded by the mid-1990s, forcing her into adjunct teaching and voice work to make ends meet. Now 78 and living quietly in a small condo in Pasadena, she rarely speaks of her time in the spotlight. Her estate is modest, estimated at $450,000, largely comprising retirement savings and residuals from her earlier work. Deidre Hall, who played Nurse Sally in Emergency, was 25 years old in 1972 when she brought warmth and confidence to the halls of Rampart General. Her serene demeanor and charm captivated audiences, leading to a longer and more visible role as Dr. Marlena Evans on Days of Our Lives. But Hall's real life unfolded as a haunting contrast to her on-screen success. She married 4 times, none lasting more than a few years. Her third husband, author Steve Zomer, fathered her 2 sons, David and Tully, via surrogate after Hall endured years of heartbreaking fertility treatments and miscarriages. Her family life was marred by strained relationships, particularly with Tully, who distanced himself during his teenage years. Hall lost her twin sister to breast cancer in 2010, which deeply affected her. In 2007, she suffered a nervous breakdown following the abrupt death of her longtime assistant and friend. She also faced tabloid scrutiny and financial strain during a protracted divorce. Still working at age 77, Hall often retreats between takes to her Malibu home, surrounded by silence and memories. Her estate is valued at approximately $8 million, though much of her wealth is tied in real estate and trusts for her children. Who is your favorite character from Emergency? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.